Ali Drew for Seconds Out here with Adam Booth, who is of course here with Michael Conlan. How are you?
Fine, thank you, yes.
So we're in the bubble. It is fight night tomorrow. How are you feeling about it?
I'm just looking forward. It's all part of the progression to get into world champion. And it's a good testing fight because the fella's coming to win and he's coming off the back of 2 good wins in Bluter. And so I'm excited about the job that I think Mick's going to put in tomorrow.
Mick is stepping down to super bantamweight. Have you noticed any changes and differences in training camp? You know, is he is going to a different weight? Are you seeing that he's powerful at that weight in training?
Well, I'm going to keep the changes that are happening to myself because time will show those. I couldn't be happier. Genuinely couldn't be happier. Everyone says that, but I couldn't be happier where he's at and the progression that he's making. He's long been a super bantamweight, and we first talked about that about 18 months ago. And he could have made super bantamweight last time out, but this is the first time he's actually going to step on the scales as one, and I think he's going to make a statement.
If he gets through this fight tomorrow, all goes to plan, the world title is what he wants next. How confident are you that he's going to get it, and prove that that's where he should be? He should be world champion then.
Well, I'm superstitious, and I can't talk about anything other than tomorrow night because it's the biggest mistake anyone can make in boxing. The rest will speak for itself, but for now, it's about him doing the job on Bluter tomorrow night.
What do you make of Bluter? He is trying to make it a hat-trick of Irish fighter wins, but what do you make of him as a fighter?
He's dangerous because he throws his punches with desperate abandon. He just doesn't hesitate to let his hands go. If you feint, he punches. If you punch, he punches. If you don't punch, he punches. He constantly punches, and he punches with this sort of almost like a desperate energy, like he's constantly trying to get rid of you. So you've got to be wary of people like that because it doesn't matter what you do, there's some jeopardy coming back. Sometimes higher grade fighters that know how to read things that are going on you can actually have a more comfortable night and a more deliberate night. But with people like Bluter, they can be banana skins because although he doesn't necessarily look reckless, he is reckless in the way that he goes about his work. And so Mick's got to be on his game, mind his P's and Q's, and do his job.
But you're confident tomorrow night he's going to get the win?
So we only ever talk about winning. We only ever think about winning. And should I say, we only ever think about doing what results in a win. And one thing Michael has proved over the years, especially as an amateur, is that he is a winner.
Definitely. Well, we want to talk about some of your other fighters in your stable. What is next for Harlem Eubank?
He's been nominated for an eliminator, I think a British title eliminator, which we're hoping will be either in June or July. And so I'm trying to keep him away from the vegan pizzas at the moment because he's still got a little while to go. But yeah, I'm excited for him. He's progressed probably more than anyone in the gym, and that's where he's at.
Is he in the gym training?
He's never out the gym. He's never out the gym. I go in on days off and he's still there doing stuff. Yeah, I mean, he loves living the life of a fighter.
Do you have to convince him to just have chill days, have rest days? Because they are so important, and you see a lot of fighters overtraining.
When people have this happiness about, you never need rest from happiness, do you? Right? You don't. And it never seems a chore for Harlem. So it's not like he needs a psychological rest because he's happy to be there. And so if someone's buoyed and buoyant and energetic, you have to read it from that. And so for now, I'll let him police himself.
Elly Scott has had 2 great wins during the pandemic. When is she out again? Do you know?
Elly is out mid-June on the Matchroom show. We're waiting for the venue. We think it's up north. The plan is for her to fight twice in very short succession. So June and again in July or August. And then after those 2 fights, which will make her 4-0, we'll make an assessment of where she's at and how fast to then push her because she has grade. She's got grade from the amateurs, and she's definitely the type of fighter that needs to be pushed. If you watch the sparring that she tries to get and demand for herself, she doesn't shirk challenges or risks. And I think it's going to be a fun journey with Elly because she's got a really good sense of humour. She's very self-effacing as well. So if you take the mickey out of her, it doesn't matter because you get it straight back. She's fun, and I'm looking forward to that journey.
That comes across on her Twitter. I always see her tweeting, giving it as good as they give it.
Well, it comes across as well on her post-fight interviews on Sky. Did you not see what happened last time when she dug out someone for the jacket that he was wearing? And she does. That's exactly what she is in the gym all the time. But on top of that, she can fight. Genuinely, she can fight. She's got grade, and I think that the more people that see her, I think there'll be a groundswell of support for her.
Talk to me about how proud you were of Shannon Courtenay winning that world title.
Yeah, well, Shannon messaged me when she was an amateur in the Haringey Box Cup, and it must have popped up. I think it was on my Twitter, and for some reason I replied. Right, every now and again I'll reply to things on Twitter, and then that was it. She just kept hounding me, and at the time, this was right at the start of women's boxing starting to take off, and it was all off the back of Katie Taylor turning pro, and the interest that was starting to evolve, and I just happened to mention it to Eddie one day, and then a couple of weeks later he came back and said to me, if you're interested in doing something with this girl, then I'll work with you. So of course I then said to her, there's an opportunity there for you to turn pro, or my advice would be maybe stay amateur for another year or so and get some more experience. She just wanted to turn pro. Eddie wanted to put her on. And you have to give her credit because she doesn't have the same amateur pedigree as a Katie Taylor or a Natasha Jonas or an Elly Scott. She doesn't have that amateur grade. And so she's had to do her learning in the very few pro fights that she's had. And regardless of how nervous that journey might have made her feel, or how scary it can be sometimes, I remember her pro debut. She did really well to hold it together because it was a big thing for her. And now she's reaping the rewards of the attitude that she had and the sort of fearless approach to it, which is nice. But now she's got to up her game even more.
What is going to be next for her? There's talk of a rematch, but also, Rachel Ball wants that fight. She wants that fight again. What's next for her? What route is she going to go?
Well, the WBA have mandated that Rachel Ball is the mandatory challenger as long as Rachel's healthy and that she's overcome her COVID infection. I hear that she is, so I would expect a date in July probably for that rematch.
Another person I'm going to talk to you about, there's a big fight happening on Saturday. Chisora Parker, Andy Lee is now coaching Parker. How proud are you to see that? He was a former fighter of yours. How nice is it to see?
It's really nice. Like Andy called when he was first approached by Joseph's manager. Andy gave me a call and asked me what I thought of it. And we had a good conversation. Andy and I are very close, and there's a really, I cherish the friendship and the relationship I've got with Andy because there's a mutual respect, and he keeps talking about how much he learned from me. I learned a hell of a lot from him, and I also think that he is perfectly suited to be a successful coach for a long period of time because he's got the knowledge, he's got the wisdom, which is slightly different to knowledge, and he's also got the character, the right type of character to be a successful coach. He's got Paddy Donovan's a phenomenal talent, and that was Andy's first fighter. He worked with Sugar Hill and Tyson Fury for that sensational rematch with Deontay, and now he's got Joseph Parker. So he's kind of hit the ground running as a coach. He hasn't messed around on any small hall shows, but he deserves it. He has got the knowledge and experience and the ability to coach, not just train, but to coach people. And I am proud. I'm not going to lie. I am proud, and I look forward to seeing it. But in fairness, he goaded me. We did Matthew Macklin's thing the other day, and I didn't even realise that he trained a featherweight. I didn't even realise he trained that dude. And when he threw his name up, all of a sudden he was challenging me for his fight. Oh no, we'll see.
Yeah, you were trying to hack in. I saw they were saying you were trying to hijack it.
No, what happened was I was with Mick and I FaceTimed Andy, and he hung up on us, and then he sent a picture of the screen because he was on the thing, and he sent me the link to the Zoom chat, so I piled in off the link that Andy sent me.